Ladies and boys and girls, on your screen right now is every single card currently playable in Clash Royale. And today, I'm going to be ranking absolutely all of them, but not by how good they are, because that's boring and no one cares. No, instead, by how toxic they are, by how cringe they are, by how no skill they are, whatever terminology you want to use, you know what I'm talking about. But if I draw your attention to what I've built right here, and by the way, like and subscribe for effort, because I just built all this in Photoshop. Like, all of this is just mine. There's no template going on here. But as you can see, this ain't just a tier list. This ain't just your normal S tier to D tier or whatever tier list that we've seen a million times before. No, today I've got this square with cringe on one side and skill on the other, because I actually believe that it's a little bit of a misconception that they are mutually exclusive. You know, like they're in the same vein, but something can be high skill and also still be cringe. And so we're gonna get into all of that today. And I don't want this video to be 2 hours long, so I'm just gonna crack on. And I'm gonna go in no particular order. I'm just gonna be grabbing them as I see them and just popping them in. So let's just start off with, like, I don't know, Ice Golem. So obviously top to bottom is how skillful it is to use the card, and left to right is how cringe it is to use the card, with the right being the more cringe and the top being the more skill. So Ice Golem is interesting, so I actually do think it's a little toxic because it's 2 elixir and it can get some crazy defensive value, especially when you just like kite something and it just nullifies like an entire push. That can be pretty annoying, but it's also not like crazy toxic, so I'm not going to put it above this halfway point. Wait, hold on, I just realized I read them out the wrong way. Hold on, wait, this is supposed to be skill and this is supposed to be cringe, but we'll go for toxicity actually. There we go, that's better. So yeah, I think it's going to be about here on the toxicity chart, and I'm going to put it like down the bottom, kind of like here. Like, it's a pretty easy card to use and it's a little toxic. Like, there's still left room for things to go in that are less toxic than it, but it's really not that big of an issue. No one's going like, oh my god, guys, using Ice Golem, you know what I mean? And so that's how we're going to kind of go about making this recording. So let's just crack on. And I've just seen archers there, and archers is actually a good example to pull because they've just reminded me, how am I going to talk about evos in this video? Because you'll notice that on the screen there's not the evo card separately in there. However, I thought, you know what I'll do is I'll leave them in there, but when I come to a card which has an evo, e.g. archers, I'm gonna like talk about how that evo affects them, because it does play into the card. Like, it's still all part of the one thing, you know? And that's probably gonna be the last disclaimer of the video, so we can actually crack on. But archers, I think, actually, because of the evo, brings them closer to this halfway point in the toxicity line. I'm not gonna put them over the halfway point because I don't think they're that bad, but like evo archers, just like being able to pop down and just do like 1,000,000 damage when they're at that right range can be pretty annoying, as well as splitting archers at the back can just kind of deter you from doing the things you want, and it's a little annoying, but it's not crazy annoying. And I think as far as evos go, there's definitely worse ones in the game. So I'm going to put them about here on the toxicity chart, and then skill wise, I'm going to put them pretty low. Like, there's not really that much nuance to archers. Like, maybe it's just whether you split them at the back or just don't do that. You know, like, that's basically it. Okay, on to the next, and giant skeleton is just, it's just caught my eye, I can't lie. This is an interesting one because, like, it kind of sucks as a card, so you don't see it too much. So it's I don't know that I have that much mental data on this one, you know? So does that make it higher skill because it's trash? So you have to actually like play around it a little bit more and know what you're doing with it more to be able to get the value out of it. That begs the question. I think it does. I think it does. I'm going to say it. But it's also pretty simple, really, of a card, isn't it? Put it down, it hits things, big bomb explodes the rest of the map afterwards. Like, that's it. So I'm gonna put it pretty low on the skill chart anyway. I reckon it's gonna be about on par with these lot. But you know what? I'm actually gonna pop it kind of more. I think it's more toxic, significantly more toxic than the other cards that I've put in there so far, because that big bomb, giant skeleton will just get to your tower. Like, there's a pixel in it, and then boom, 1,000 something damage on your tower. It's like, okay, cool. Why don't you just push me forward and violate me while you're there? So I'm going to put it pretty close, but definitely not beyond the halfway point on the toxicity chart. You know what? Let's get one that I consider to be high skill, because we've had some sort of easy ones going so far. You know what? Let's go for a controversial one. I'm going for Expo. Expo is difficult to use. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I would say Expo is very high skill. I think it's right up. I'm going to put it right near the top. I don't think there's many cards in the game that are as hard to use as Expo. Like, you kind of have to build your whole deck around it, and then using it isn't easy anyway. But that doesn't make it not cringe. And this is what you guys got to understand. It's still spamming damage across the bridge. Expo decks usually just go down to who can do more splash damage on the tower with like rockets or fireballs or whatever. That sucks. That's cringe. And so this one, I'm putting it right in the corner for now, because like maybe I'll maneuver things around as I go a little bit, but for now, Expo's going up there. Like that, I'm happy with that. And I've got to start speeding through these because otherwise I'm going to be here all day. So let's go for like Magic Archer. I'm immediately putting it above the halfway on the Toxic because it just gets damage, doesn't it? It just gets damage from a mile away. And if you combine it with like a Tornado, just getting like 1,000,000 damage from like basically across the bridge or just a mile away, annoying. And also timing it, like when it's just walking onto the like your side of the bridge, timing it is kind of frustrating. Like, it's kind of pretty perfect timing. So that's going immediately up above the halfway. Honestly, I'm putting it kind of down here, and I'm actually going to move up these guys a little bit, I think, because like realizing other stuff, I think there's definitely going to be things that are easier to use than those things. Yeah, but Magic Archer down here, because like the things that make it sort of annoying and like higher skill is like Tornado in the deck. That's the thing that's taking up the skill. So you know what? I actually go for Tornado, and I'm going to put Tornado right up here on the skill end straight away, because like I would say it's the hardest spell to get used to using. It just got nerfed as well, which makes it even higher skill because it's worse in a weird way, you know what I mean? So it's definitely going right up here. And as far as toxicity goes, I'm going to put it right in the middle. It's not as difficult to use as Expo though. Let's pop it like down there. And again, I might maneuver some things around. I could see Tornado edging more on the toxicity side, but we'll just leave it where it is for now. Goblin Barrel's just caught my eye, and this shit toxic, man. The only thing that makes this not toxic is that it's usually pretty counterable. It's 3 elixir that you throw at the tower, and basically it's going to take 3 elixir to defend. Like, even if it gets fully countered with like an arrows or maybe like a log, you're still only 1 elixir down. So it's basically just a free bit of pressure. On the skill front, it's got the tricky barrels. Like, you know, you've got trying to bait out the log. You've got using it just on the left or right side or at the back or at the front to maybe try and bait out a Valkyrie. There is a little bit of a mind game there. So it's actually, I'm going to pop this one above halfway on the skill as well, even though sometimes when you're playing against it, it does seem like the lowest skill thing ever. And let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, because I'm sure there's going to be some in here that you're like, what the hell is Shluk on about? How does he think that giant skeleton isn't toxic or something like that? You know what I mean? So let me know your thoughts. I'd be down to hear that. Moving swiftly on, we'll do Wizard. Wizard caught my eye, and I don't think Wizard is toxic really at all, but because it's trash. Who's getting annoyed at Wizard? It's a walking negative elixir trade, basically. The only thing that makes it a little bit more toxic is the Evo version, but even that, it's like now it survives the spell and it can actually get some damage out before dying. Like, you know, it's not even that bad. So yeah, I'm putting it kind of pretty low on the toxic front, and also pretty low on the skill front as well. Like, Wizard's kind of got, it hasn't really got any nuance. You just sort of place it and it does the damage. That's it. Arrows, pretty easy to identify arrows value, and also there's not really any nuance to it, so I'm just gonna pop it like kind of right at the bottom, to be honest. Back when it had the bigger area, I'd say maybe it was a little bit more toxic, but like, it's not like, no one cares if you're using arrows. And you know what? Let's go for a low toxicity, high skill card, because we haven't really got anything in the top left area here. So I'm gonna go for some spirits. Now the spirits are automatically solidify themselves above the halfway point on the skill, and I just think that's completely valid. I don't really see people dodging that. I know they're 1 elixir, and you can get some insane value from 1 elixir, which is they honestly could creep up on the toxic side because of that thing alone. Like, Ice Spirit is probably going to be the most toxic of these spirits because like 1 elixir and it can just defend like everything. It's so goated. Same with E Spirit, but like the other two lower down, like they ain't that toxic, but like also, you know, placing them that will getting the full value from that 1 elixir, it takes a bit of getting used to. And if you're a really good player, you might be thinking, what? No, it doesn't. Like, but low skill players don't be using these cards. I'm just telling you. And I didn't either back in the day when I was a scrub. Like, you know, you put in your Hog Rider, your Valkyrie, your easier cards. Like, these are they take some skill. So I'm gonna place them kind of like this. We've got Ice Spirit and E Spirit chilling out basically right next to each other. I think they're very similar cards. And then the other 3 spirits down here, like no one's getting mad that you got Fire Spirit. Kind of sucks, to be honest. And you know what? I'm gonna move them up. Actually. I'm gonna move them up on the skill. All of these spirits, they deserve to be a little higher than that, man. Come on now. All right, let's go for another high skill one. Why not? Pigs, they just caught my eye. And pigs, I'd say, are pretty high skill because you can obviously split them at the bridge, or you can put them all in one lane, or do like one on one side of the lane. Like that stuff all takes a little bit of getting used to. So I'm gonna put them pretty high on the skill check. And also, they're kind of toxic as well because of that reason. Like putting them in middle against some decks, it's just like, they're just getting damage here now. Like I can't do anything about that. So yeah, I'm putting them kind of, I'm gonna put them over here for now. Yeah, why not? Maybe not as high skill as Tornado, actually. See, the thing is, I do think they're pretty toxic, but not as toxic as Tornado. So I'm gonna move Tornado over here, actually. And this is what I mean. I'm gonna have to compare as I go and shift around, but where they are right now might change by the end. But you know, I'm playing it by ear, you know? You know what? We just did the pigs. We'll do the Hog Rider. It's gotta go up here somewhere, right? It's gotta go low skill, high toxic, right? This is literally the epitome of low skill, high toxic. There is a thing of like, you know, you need that 4 elixir to be able to get away with using it at the bridge without just getting a massive like counter push on you. Other than that, it's pretty much just use it at the bridge. And it's high toxicity because it's like almost guaranteed damage. Like again, against some decks, it's just like, well, I'm getting hit here. And like using it at the bridge first play, even if you have like a Tesla or something in your deck that you can defend it with, it might not be there. So that's just toxic because you just take like 3 Hog hits and it's like 1,000,000 damage on tower. And a Hog Rider player is always going to be able to get a Hog Rider to your tower at some point, and it's just like 1,000,000 damage when it does, and it's just like, oh, like how it just hit my tower and that's 500 damage. Like, oh, whatever. So yeah, it's high toxic, low skill. It's in every deck as well. It's like sick of seeing Hog Rider. Everyone's sick of seeing Hog Rider. And you know what? I'm going to start smashing out some of the less controversial picks maybe just to get through some of these items here because there's a lot to get through. Knight, very low skill, a little bit toxic because of the Evo though. Skeleton Dragons, again, pretty low skill, but maybe like since you can split them at the back or go in one lane, like I guess that's a little bit of skill to it. Mega Minion, a little bit up there on the toxic front since it can survive like a fireball or whatever, and it's only 3 elixir and it does pretty high damage, but again, not really much nuance in the skill of like how you use it and stuff. Baby Dragon, very easy. I wouldn't say it's very toxic either. Doesn't really die to spells though, kind of same as Mega Minions. So I'm going to put it kind of in a similar area there on the toxicity front. Rascals, I mean, no one's ever said, this guy's got Rascals in his deck, so annoying. They're going pretty low down. I'll put them right next to Wizard, to be honest. 5 elixir card. They're basically the same thing. Minions, I mean, if you don't have like arrows in your deck, I guess kind of can be a little annoying. I would say they're more annoying than actually like any of these cards I've put down here. So let's move all these down a little bit. Again, we're kind of, this is what I mean. I'm smashing out some of the easier ones. It's just going in the same sort of place. Bomber will go for, if you'd asked asked me about Bomber before they nerfed the Evo when it could splash your tower multiple times in one hit, I'd have put this so high up on the toxic front. But since they nerfed that, it's kind of mid. Like, no one even uses Evo Bomber. I guess for 2 elixir, it can get some pretty decent ground value, but other than that, it's not very toxic and not very high skill either. So that one's also going pretty low down. Where's Goblins? Goblins are pretty not toxic at all. I'll throw them in there as well. Guards, pretty low skill. Kind of can live spells though. Like, you can't predict them with a log and then like just get your push off better like you can with a Skami or like Goblins or anything. So I guess that does put them a little bit higher up on the toxic front, but honestly, they're still pretty low skill. I'm not gonna lie. You just sort of place them and that's fine. Mini P.E.K.K.A, easy to use, not that toxic really. Barbarians, same situation. Even Evo barbs are like, they're like the same as normal barbs. Like they're not that deep. And Tesla, I guess I'll put it like kind of a little bit higher on the toxic front because the Evo can be a little annoying and it's also a building, which is just kind of annoying in itself. And now I think we'll go for some more interesting ones again. We'll smash out some easy ones just there. Oh wait, Fireball. Fireball can go right next to arrows. That's like the same thing. Actually, a little bit higher on the skill because sometimes you need to, in like the late game, Fireball the tower, and knowing when that's value it takes a little bit of getting used to. All right, let's go for Witch. Witch will be an interesting one because I thought if you'd asked me pre-Evo, I'd have been like, it probably would have ended up back down, like maybe a little bit higher up on the toxic, but pretty low down on both of these. But post-Evo, it's definitely landed itself beyond the halfway point. Like it did get nerfed recently, the amount of health it gets, which I guess does bring it a little bit down the toxic because it's not just quite as broken as it once was, but it's still like annoying. It still feels like, oh, okay, it's got Evo Wedge down. Like now if I don't like kill it, then it's not like any damage down is just like not, it doesn't matter. Like, and if you haven't got a spell to one-shot it, it can be a little bit like, okay, it's just at the back getting a million value. And I'd also say it's very easy to use really. Like you just place it at the back. That's it. Place it at the back, let it build some skeletons, chilling. I think it's more toxic than Magic Archer. I'm gonna put it like over here actually. Oh, you know what? Look who's just caught my eye. I've got to go for it really. Firecracker is like it. God, I don't know. It like in some games it's like right up here, right. It's like over here somewhere. It's like off the charts. And in others it's just ass. I don't know. It's like it's the best card in the game and the worst card in the game. On the skill check, I'd say you want to avoid activating the king, so sometimes you don't want to throw it out willy-nilly because you will just activate the king tower. So I'd say like I'm going to put it like I'm pretty high up actually, just for that factor alone, but like not too high. Let's not get crazy. And then I'm putting it pretty high up on the toxic. It's not as toxic as Hog Rider, but it's definitely up there. Evo Firecracker. Oh my god, no, 1 million damage from across the bridge. That's going honestly. Yeah, we'll put it right up there. I'm going to put it. It's just beyond where Hog Rider is. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about Evo Firecracker. Yeah, no. That is jarring. Right, I need to start putting some higher skill cards in this tier list because it's getting a bit blank up the top. And someone's just caught my eye, which may be controversial. I think Freeze is pretty high skill, you know. I don't think it's that easy to use. And when you lose to Freeze, you're like, oh my god, what a moron, what a brain dead player. Like Balloon Freeze or whatever. I mean, Balloon Freeze is a pretty easy deck, but like Freeze in general, you lose to it and you're like, oh, there's nothing I could do. That's so annoying. But genuinely, knowing when to use Freeze and when you can get away with it actually takes a bit of getting used to. I feel like you can't, it's like otherwise everybody would just be popping Freeze into their deck and just freezing you and it would be chill. But it is 4 elixir and it doesn't really do damage. So like, you know, knowing when to use that, especially on the aggression, takes a bit of time to get used to. And also like, when is it value to use it to like kill a Skami or like freeze a Archer Queen under your tower? Like, I don't know, it's like nuanced things that like, I don't know, if you don't really know how to use Freeze, you can end up with it stuck in your deck doing nothing for like the whole game. But toxicity wise, that's up there. That's up there. If you do get that good freeze value, it is just like, you know it's coming. You know they're gonna freeze your shit and you can't do anything about it. Sometimes it's just like, oh my god, you're not slick. You're like, I have to place my musketeer or whatever it is that they're using to defend a balloon or whatever the fuck they're pushing with. You gotta place it, and you either place it like a mile away and it gets chopped down by something else, or like the freeze is just, it is a little toxic. It's going right up there, to be fair. Oh my god, while we're on the topic of toxic cards, I just saw Inferno Dragon down here as well. Inferno Dragon Evo did release recently as of recording this video, so there's that to consider because it's still broken and it's not gonna be, it's in this bottom right box, let's just say that. I think it's more toxic than Freeze, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna put it like there for now. And what takes, is it more skill than Firecracker? No, not really. It's pretty mellow on the skill as well. Like if you try to play any big troop like a Golem or a Royal Giant or anything like that, it's immediately something where you're just like, oh, why me? Like when you come up against it. And yeah, they just place it on top. There's no nuance really to it. You just place it on top and let it charge up. And then obviously Evo Inferno Dragon, if you haven't got some reset in your deck, even like an Ice Spirit is kind of no good against Evo Inferno Dragon, because once it's got the charge, if you put Ice Spirit too close, it just gets one shot by the Evo Inferno Dragon, and trying to get it to actually freeze, like, It's very frustrating. And when you knock it with like a fireball, that doesn't even reset it, or a snowball, it's just zapping things or like freezing it. And it's just, sometimes you're just like, there's an Evo Inferno Dragon approaching you and you're like, well, I'm cooked. I don't have the sauce for this. And then it cooks you. It does. So yeah, it's right up there on the toxic. It's going to get nerfed and it would probably make its way a little bit back down. So bear that in mind. But for now, I think that's valid. And speaking of Royal Giant, I've just seen him over here. We'll do him next. And this one's going to be controversial for some of y'all, but he's staying above this line. He's staying right above this line confidently as well. I don't care. You know what? I think he's about the same as pigs generally. Maybe he's a little bit more toxic, to be honest. Like, because, yeah, I'm going to put him like up here. Now, the thing that makes him toxic, obviously, is that it's almost guaranteed damage. Like, if you haven't got like a Tesla or Inferno Tower or something, like even if you've got a cannon, for example, usually it just shoots and then finishes it off and then goes and attacks the tower. It's almost guaranteed damage. And sometimes it feels like you do so much against it and you're just like, oh, how is it going to hit on my tower anyway? And it's got that Hog Rider effect where it's just like, just gets a hit and it's fucking 500 damage, just bong, just like that off your tower. And it seems like it's going to be low skill, because it does. Because if you play against Royal Giant and you've never tried playing as Royal Giant, it looks like they just place it at the bridge and it just does that. It just gets the damage and it's so annoying. But what you got to remember is that this is a 6 elixir commitment. You just place it at the bridge short, it goes to get its damage. You're then faced with a massive counter push. You've just essentially wasted 6 elixir for maybe a few hundred damage on their tower, and then you receive back shots because they've got like, maybe they've used like a hunter or something to defend it, and then they've got like a big push, and the stuff they defended is also now attacking you, so they get just an infinite value. Like, you can't just throw out Royal Giant. You have to build to it. You gotta build to it, and on top of that, it's defendable. It's pretty defendable. Like, if you play against like Inferno Tower, you're done. Like, you have to have some deck that builds around the Royal Giant so you can high cycle, or like some other thing that's going to counter like that sort of thing, like a lightning or something. Like, you need to play around it a bit. Like, like, trust me, it takes some skill. And if you don't believe me, go try and play a Royal Giant deck. It does take some getting used to, I promise you. And it's just, if you've only played against it and not tried to use it yourself, it seems super easy and annoying, and it is a little annoying anyway. But yeah, I'm standing by putting it pretty high up on the skill front, but it also is kind of toxic. And a disclaimer here is that I play Royal Giant. I like a Royal Giant deck. I always have done. Sue me. But I've explained myself, all right? I think that's valid. I mean, there's Evo Royal Giant as well, which I didn't mention, but I don't think that Evo actually makes it that much worse by comparison to some of these other Evos. Like, for example, Valkyrie. The Evo Valk changes it completely. I think it makes it higher skill and more toxic. Like, all of a sudden, Evo Valk is able to just defend like a million things at once, and it messes up your placement of your stuff as well, because it pulls things in, and then like your fisherman that was going to pull something is now being pulled in, doing nothing. It's a whole thing. It makes it more toxic than definitely the normal Valk would be, and it also does make it higher skill. Valk without Evo gonna be down here somewhere. I'm not gonna lie. Who cares about it? After Evo is higher skill and higher toxicity. I'm not gonna put it over the halfway line, but I'm gonna put it like here. I'm gonna put it close to it. Yeah, I'm actually gonna put it kind of midway on the skill front, because honestly, you don't think of like the little things, like maybe placing it behind a Hog Rider to pull it back. Like, players don't actually think of that. Like, and again, if you're like a 10k trophy demon that's been playing the game for ages, it's obvious to you, but it's not obvious to everyone. While we're on the Gingers topic, we'll do Berserker, of course. It's bound to happen eventually. I'm gonna put it kind of over here somewhere on the toxicity, because it can't be logged or arrows or anything. Like, it survives, so I'm pretty sure it survives a fireball actually as well. So I'm gonna put it over like here for that front, and it's not really, it's like the easiest thing in the game to use as well, so let's put that like down here. I think pre Berserker buff it would be way lower because it was just worse, but honestly after the buff it's actually usable, so it's going a little bit up. Actually, you know what, I think it's basically the exact same as guards, so I'm gonna put it like right here. Bandit, ooh, what half of the toxicity line does this go? That is the question. Oof. It's definitely going this half. It's definitely going this half. It's definitely going in this box, I think, here. Maybe like, actually, I'm gonna put it, actually, you know what? Is it harder to use than Evo Valk? No, I'm gonna say it's a little easier, but like just a little bit. It's going like here somewhere. Pretty toxic when like it just gets a hit on your tower and like just gets that dash off just about, and then does a million damage, and sometimes it just goes like dashes from thing to thing and cooks, but like it's pretty easy to deal with as well, so you know, it's okay. Right, I think I need to start smashing out some of the easier ones again here, because again I'm kind of yapping away. So let's go E-Barbs. Not the hardest thing to use, I guess. I'm gonna put them like next to archers. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna talk about E-Barbs a little more, because I feel like they're just one that annoy like a lot of the player base, but it's a 6 elixir commitment, and that's the thing that makes it like, it's immediately not the easiest card in the game, because any sort of 6 elixir commitment, you have to kind of be aware of when you can get away with that, but also on the defense, like if they've just placed like some Hog Rider or something, it's going to be worth. So it's not that deep really, and it's toxic in the same way Mini P.E.K.K.A. is, because it just does high damage, it takes out your push. But other than that, it's not really anything that deep about it. So I'm standing by that. I'm standing by that. Skeleton Army. There's skill in it because you don't want it to get just immediately prediction logged. So I guess waiting. It's really not that toxic really at all. Like maybe a little bit toxic because if you're not ready for it, like it can just wipe out your push, but it's not that bad. Log as as well. The way it kind of pushes around your troops can be a little toxic, but again, it's like not that deep and also pretty easy to use. I'm gonna put it kind of over here though on the toxicity front, because like, let's say for example, your opponent places a hog rider and then logs behind it straight away, and you've got like some swarm troop in your deck, like a goblin gang, to defend it. That log is an active hitbox for quite a long time, and it allows your hog rider to push the tower. Like, I mean, as a good player, it's a smart play, and you as a player probably shouldn't get yourself into that situation where your opponent can do that to you, but it's still kind of annoying when you're in when that happens, you know, like it's still an active hitbox for a million years. So yeah, I think there's valid. I'm gonna put it in like medium skill just because of how truly bad it is. Like, you know, you got to be a reasonable gamer to get any value out of it, I'm not gonna lie. But it's obviously not toxic. Poison, it's going basically, yeah, it's gonna go right next to fireball. They're almost the exact same in how you use them. Maybe a little more toxic actually because of the active hitbox that lasts forever. You know, we've got Dark Prince up here and Prince down here, so I'll do them next to each other as well because they're kind of similar. Prince I'm gonna put right in the middle of the toxic stage because like it's kind of in a really good spot right now and it just does quite a lot of damage. It's just a pretty good card and it's kind of annoying. And maybe like kind of here on the skill front because of just the dashing, like it makes it a little bit more difficult. I'm gonna go ahead and move up Ice Column and Archers. I think I judged them prematurely there. I think they're both kind of, they take a little bit more. And then Dark Prince, I'd say obviously same level of skill, but maybe just like a bit less toxic, you know? Because I just don't think they're as good. Like the buffed dash that they gave the Prince, but not given to Dark Prince, a little bit weird, but I just think that makes kind of Prince more toxic for that reason alone. And you know what? Now I'm gonna go for a few cards in a row, which are all linked, and you'll see what I'm talking about, but hear me out. Let's go for Goblin Gang. Now, Goblin Gang inherently, in itself, I don't think is that bad. I'd honestly put it like, it's pretty close to how you'd use a skeleton army, really. Maybe it applies a bit more aggressive value, which makes it a little bit more toxic, maybe like up here somewhere. I'm just gonna probably put it like over here. But like in itself, it's not like that toxic, pretty easy to use. Pretty standard. Maybe like splitting it at the bridge is something you do with that and not a skeleton army, so maybe it'll go a little bit higher than that. But like it's pretty standard. However, it's easy to think that it'll be more toxic because of the decks you often find itself in with cards like the Princess. Now the Princess actually is pretty toxic. This one's definitely going into this box because it's essentially you place it at the bridge and it's gonna get damage unless you get predicted with it or like someone's got the most insane reactions of all time. It goes and hits it for 200 damage, and like maybe it's gonna be one of them situations where you use your 3 elixir, they use their 3 elixir defend, and you've got new 200 damage. Like it's pretty safe stuff. I'm gonna put it a little higher on the skill though than you might think, because like sometimes you got to place it, you're not always placing it at the bridge, and you do actually have to kind of think sometimes, like sometimes it's not just worth it to go for, particularly in the early stages of the game. And then I'll go for Dark Goblin next, and like this is what I mean with all these cards, is that like Goblin Gang, Princess, Dark Goblin, you see them in the same deck and it's log bait and it's the most toxic thing ever, but individually as a card they ain't that bad. So that's what I'm going off of, like individually, not the decks that they often find themselves within. So yeah, anyway, Dark Goblin, going on this side for sure, especially with Evo Dark Goblin just like leaving poison clouds around for a million years that do like tons of damage. Definitely going over on this side somewhere. I'd say it's more annoying than Magic Archer because it does just sort of stand there getting tons of damage on the defense and also placing it at the bridge to just do damage. Like it's a finicky timing and you can mess it up easily to defend it. And then yeah, that's like 200 whatever damage on your tower, which adds up in like the decks, like I say, like the decks they find themselves within. So it's going over here on the toxic scale somewhere, and I'm going to put it, I'd say it's a lower skill card than Princess, but not that much. And you know what, while we're on log baity stuff, we'll go for Skeleton Barrel. Obviously just got an Evo, so that brings it into this box immediately because they're always broken when they're new, like, and toxic as hell. But this one I actually do think is toxic. Like it's the sort of thing where you almost have to let it get damage sometimes in order to defend it optimally. I'm talking about the Evo here, because like if you waste your log on like the first time it drops a barrel, then you haven't got it for the second, so you're better off just letting it hit your tower almost and then using your log on both of them. And that can be toxic because then that gets like 1,000 damage anyway. Like it's actually insane damage. Do I think it's more toxic than Evo Witch? I'm gonna say yes it is, because I think that the Skeleton Barrel itself is a pretty toxic card, more so than a Witch. So I'm gonna put it like over here somewhere. And then skill, there's not really that much nuance to it. You just use it at the bridge. That's one of them. And then we'll go for Skeleton King after, because again that kind of links kind of to the last one, because you sort of cards you see together, you know, that's what brought it to mind. But Skeleton King is immediately going above the skill mark because it is a champion and it does have an ability, and I think all champions are going to go above this mark, because not just because of the ability, because like for example, I don't know, Archer Queen ability is pretty easy to know when to use it, I think, but also because of 3-card cycle. Like using the champions means that your cards cycle differently, which is called 3-card cycle, because you only have to cycle through 3 cards rather than 4, since you can only have 1 champion on the field. And that is just another thing to consider within the game. It changes the way you cycle, it changes the way the game plays a little bit on your end, and yeah, as a result, a lot of the meta decks kind of have a champion in to utilize that. So it's immediately going pretty high on the skill front. And Skeleton King in particular as well, his ability Toxicity, I think it's one of the ones that is more difficult to know when it's worth using. You know what I mean? It's 2 elixir as well, rather than just 1, which the abilities normally are. So it's not just like a freebie thing. Like 2 elixir in a situation, you don't want to completely waste it, you know? So I'm gonna put it pretty high on the skill front. I'm gonna put it like up here somewhere. Not quite as much as the spirits. And then toxicity wise, I think it's not as insane as you would think it would be in concept. The fact that he can like spawn a graveyard on himself for 2 elixir, like it's not that crazy, I don't think. Like, although it does have that log baity toxicity potential, I'm never playing against a Skeleton King and I'm like, oh dear, Skeleton King, and this is gonna be not fun. Like, I don't have that reaction. However, and this is gonna seem controversial based off what I've just said, I think Graveyard is toxic, and I do get the gut feeling when I see someone playing Graveyard, or I think that their deck has Graveyard in, and I'm like, oh, God damn it, this one's gonna suck. Graveyard, I think is right up there on the toxicity. I can't lie. More so than Skeleton Barrel for sure. More so than Freeze. I'd say less so than Inferno Dragon. Maybe like when Inferno Dragon gets nerfed again, this will probably change, but for now, less so than Inferno Dragon. But Graveyard really is, I would say, the closest thing in the game to guaranteed damage beyond just like dropping a spell on the tower or something like that. It is a 5 elixir commitment, so as you can see, I've already placed it in the higher skill end of the bracket as well, because like it's not something you can just throw out, and if you do that, then it's going to get countered, and you're going to then be at a massive elixir deficit and have a big push to defend yourself against. But also sometimes in some decks, it depends on the matchup really, like you can just throw it out when you get to like ×2 elixir or ×3, God forbid. It is one of those cards that you just sort of, it feels like they're just clicking it on your tower and getting damage for it, like, and it just feels so undeserved. But also, I know how the game works. I know it's not that simple, so I'm leaving it pretty high up on the skill. Maybe higher than Freeze, actually. I'm going to bring Freeze down a little bit. Well, I've just clocked that I've been recording for a full hour, so I'm going to do some more easy ones. Wall Breakers, especially Evo Wall Breakers, very toxic and not difficulties at all. 2 elixir, very safe, and it just applies infinite pressure. Usually have to spend more than 2 elixir to defend it. And Evo Wall Breakers, I think, are one of the most toxic things in the game. They're actually going to go right in that corner. Yeah, why not? Hunter, I think, actually is going to be reasonably high skill. I'm going to place it up here next to Valk on the skill front, right in the middle, just because of like the placement of it is pretty specific in order to get like the best value from it. Because obviously you want it to be close in order to get the more damage, because the more pellets hit, but you don't want it to get just destroyed by like a mini P.E.K.K.A. or something. And then also there's the Evo, which does make it more toxic for sure, actually. I kind of am going to pop it over on this side because of the Evo. Before it got nerfed, and it could snare things forever and permanently lock them, which was in the game for so long for some reason. This was super toxic, but they've nerfed it recently, so your things can actually get hits out, which is a good thing, despite the fact that I used this card. But it's still on this side of the toxicity. I'd say it's probably about the same toxicity as Bandit, I reckon. Maybe actually a little bit more. Probably, yeah, a little bit over here somewhere. But I'm going to say it's actually kind of a reasonably high skill one because of the placement thing I mentioned earlier. Spear Goblins are easy. I'm going to say reasonably toxic because you can get quite a lot of value from them for 2 elixir, but like easy to use. Goblin Demolisher, I mean, it's just a bit of a difficult one to talk about really because no one ever uses it. I'm going to put it on like kind of reasonably high on the skill because there are situations where you kind of want it to take the damage so that you can get the suicide explosion. So like being aware of that, I guess, does bring it a little bit higher on the skill. I'm going to put it up right here, like the same skill as Ice Golem. And toxicity, again, because of this suicide explosion damage, sometimes that just hits your tower and does like 300 damage and you're like, oh, how? So I'm going to put it like kind of over here, but like it's not crazy toxic. Battle Ram, I'd say it's actually reasonably high skill because it's not like Hog Rider where you just drop it down and let it do its thing. Like you kind of have to build around it a little bit more, but it's not that nuanced, don't get me wrong. And it's not really toxic either. Even the Evo doesn't make it like that much worse. It's still pretty defendable. Sometimes it's annoying that your stuff gets pushed out of the way, but it's not that bad. So I'm going to pop it like over here somewhere. I said I was going to do easy ones and I yapped out absolutely all of them. What is wrong with me? All right, let's do some more champions. Let's do Arch Queen. Again, I said earlier that I think her ability is one of the easier ones to sort of use. You just sort of do it a lot of the time and it kind of gets a value. But I guess, again, all the champions are going to be above halfway point in the skill. They just are. So I'm going to bring Skeleton King down a bit and put this kind of over there. And then we'll go for Monk. Monk... Oh, come on. You know what? I think mine's kind of low-key toxic, you know? It instills the fear of, like, you can't use a spell because what if they pop the ability and then you just have completely not only wasted your spell but hit your own tower with it. And, like, I, as a Monk player, have frequently, like, flipped around a game by, like, reflecting, like, a barb barrel or something when, like, you just sort of preemptively use your ability and that's it. That wins you the game. So I'm actually going to put it reasonably high up on the toxic front and on the skill front because I think it's kind of one of the harder ones to sort of... maybe not actually. I don't know. I'll put it above Arch. I think it's harder to use an Arch Queen. I'll put it like up here somewhere. Wait, it's kind of more toxic than Bandit. Let's bring back this. Let's put it like over here. Oh, fucking Minion Horde. I just saw them. Who cares about Minion Horde? It's not toxic. In fact, if anything, I'm like, yes, when I see a Minion Horde player because it's just a terrible, terrible card. And so it's going to get the bar putt treatment of like being a little bit higher on the skill, because I don't know, if you want to get any value, you've got to really think about it. But it's pretty low on the toxicity. And look at these two guys just hanging out there, bless them. I'll do all the champions while I'm at it. We'll go Goblinstein. I want to put it higher skill because it has more nuance, you know, like you can split them either lane, like there's more nuance in when you need to use the ability and stuff like that. But also it's very easy to get high value out of anyway. Like on a baseline, it's easy, but there's like, it's like a higher skill ceiling as well, you know? And I think for that reason, I'm actually going to leave it as the highest skill champion. I'm pretty content with that. And it's kind of reasonably toxic, but not that bad. I'm going to put it in the middle. This is one of those where if this was on Goblinstein's release, right at the toxic end, that was horrendous. But it's not. It's been nerfed. It's like balanced now, so yeah. And then we'll go for the old Mighty Miner as well, and I think this is probably one of the easier ones, and I probably think this is the least toxic one as well, so I think I'm gonna leave it there. We're through about half the cards now. I'd like to take a quick break to say please subscribe to the channel. These videos take me a very long time. I've been recording for like 2 hours. It's going to be hours of editing, making a thumbnail, all that stuff. They take me a long time, and any support you can give me, liking, commenting, subscribing, helps me out more than you know. So yeah, I appreciate y'all in advance. But enough shilling, we've got some more to get through. Let's do a bloody toxic one. Why not? Recruits, you're going right over here, boy. Actually, no, they're not that toxic. They're not that toxic, but they're pretty goddamn toxic. There's oh god, actually, I bloody hate recruits. In all like Clash Royale comment sections on like TikTok or YouTube, there's people being like, oh, no skill deck, no skill this, no skill that, and I've always been like, what deck is no skill really? They all require skill. That's a stupid comment. Royal Recruits has zero nuance. Your nuance with Royal Recruits is place it at the back or place it at the front. That's all you got to worry about. And it's not even like, oh, it's a 7 elixir commitment, so you know it's a little risky. It's not. You're placing troops all over the entire bloody screen. It's so you know, I'm moving it further up. I think they're more toxic. More toxic than that. Evo Recruits. I'll just, no, they're not as toxic as Evo Witch. They're not as toxic as Evo Witch. I've got to stay grounded. I also think just because I played so much Royal Giant and it's like such a terrible matchup for Royal Giant, or it at least feels terrible, that I just like, I'm putting them right up there. But I think people hate Royal Recruits. It's not just me, so I think I'm valid in that. And yeah, they're easy. They are easy. You put troops over the whole screen. Right, okay, let's go for a high skill, low toxicity one over here. Let's go for Skelly Bees. I'm gonna go for I think they're pretty I don't know. They're another one where they seem like they're easy to use, like they're one elixir. Like how are they high skill? What do you mean? You know what they do immediately, like it's just chill. But there's nuance to them. There is nuance, and placing them optimally, that takes some getting used to. That's a high skill ceiling. And like, you know, for one elixir, you can defend like loads of shit, which again, I'm actually gonna put these kind of high-ish up on the toxic front, not too high. You know, it's not like you're getting mad that people are using skeletons, but you can get some pretty high value from your one elixir, but it takes that knowing the nuance of where to place them, you know? So I'd say they're actually a pretty high skill card. Oh my god, wait, I forgot Boss Bandit. She's a champion. The newest one, I forgot about her. Yeah, she's going over here somewhere. She's going above the halfway line on the scale. I'm sorry, guys. She just is. And to be honest with you, I don't even think she's like that toxic. Definitely more toxic than regular Bandit, but like she's not that bad though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think she's pretty defended. Like, what you do have to remember is that she's 6 elixir with another 2 elixir to use your ability twice. That's 8 elixir. If you've got 8 elixir to defend her, you can defend her. She's not as toxic as people say, to be honest. We are getting on. Let's go for another toxic one. Let's try and find a toxic one. I quite like doing them. Balloon. Is Balloon toxic? I don't know how toxic it even is, really. I'm going to put it medium on the skill, which is going to confuse some of you again, but it's that 5 elixir commitment, and Balloon does nothing for you if it gets full defended, basically. And maybe the death damage takes out like a firecracker or something, but like, you can't just drop your Balloon at the bridge and get damage like you can with like Hog Rider, you know? Like, it's not like that for sure. So I'm going to put it like midway point on the skill. You know, I'm bringing Bandit down. I feel like there's a lot of like higher toxicity cards around. I'm going to put Bandit like kind of like over here, and I'm going to put Balloon just nestled in between Bandit and Boss Bandit. I think that's valid. Actually, no, Balloon is more toxic than that. It just is. Which makes me want to put Boss Bandit higher, because I feel like Boss Bandit is more toxic than Balloon. I'm moving everything up. I'm moving bloody everything up. Let's just like keep it all shifted. I don't want to put Balloon and Boss Bandit lower down than this on the toxic chart, but they're also not more toxic than all these cards up here. So, you know, I like I said, I'll do some shifting around, so that's what I've done. I want a high skill, low toxicity card. Like, I feel like what is going over here? I don't know. I feel like this bit's looking empty. Hear me out on this one. Miner is going in this box. I don't know where just yet. And again, hear me out, because I hate playing against Miner. I truly do. I think like it's one of my least favorite to play against, but but, and this is a big but, it's not because of the miner itself necessarily. It's just the decks that miner finds himself within are toxic decks. Like miner poison is cringe to play against. It'll be like decks where they're spamming you out with stuff, or like miner wall breakers. Like, oh, we know how much I hate wall breakers. Look at them hanging out down there right in the bloody corner. But the miner itself isn't that toxic. Like, it doesn't really do that much damage. Like, it's more the decks it finds itself within, which definitely is a factor, but like I don't know, like I don't know. And it's going above the halfway point on the skill, because although I hate to admit it, there is kind of a mind game in like mixing up where you place it on the tower and stuff, and like knowing to kind of be aware of like a tornado could activate king from your miner, so you place it in that little spot where that's not going to be an issue. So there are things to consider with miner. So I'm going to put him on the higher up on the skill front, even though I hate playing against miner. And toxicity wise, I feel bad. Like, you know what, it is making its way into this one. It's making its way. I wanted a low toxicity, high skill, but the decks that miner finds itself in is just too big of a factor, because you don't get like miner Mega Knight in a deck, like, because nobody would do that, because it's just a pointless time to have a miner. Miner is made good by the cards you use with it, and so I do think for this example, I have to consider the decks it finds itself within. And it does go onto the more toxic side, I'm not gonna lie, but whatever. I feel like that one's gonna have routed some cages within you, but I think I explained myself well enough. Did I say, oh no, I wanted high skill, low toxicity? I was like, hang about, did I want low skill, high toxicity? But no, that's not really what I was going for. But while I've mentioned it, we'll put Rocket right down here somewhere. Actually, maybe a little bit higher, because of the, like, when you get to the late game, there is a little bit of like knowledge required to know when you can get away with rocketing a tower. But the fact that Rocket is basically just used for like spamming out tower damage at the end to win in ×3 elixir is awful. Expo decks, I think, like, so toxic, and so is like Logbait, but usually because it comes down to some sort of spells spam on your tower. Like, it's not fun losing to someone rocketing your tower. It's the worst. So it's going right over here. Do I think it's more toxic? I personally think it's more toxic than Hog Rider. Yeah, I don't know if other people hate Rocket the way I do, but oh, it's so jarring. Anyway, Lightning's gonna get the same sort of treatment. I feel like the fact that you can get better value from Lightning because it's easier to use, because it's like bigger, almost makes it less toxic, because it means that like it hasn't just been hoarded in the deck for the whole deck and then like used right at the end to win the game, like Rocket often is. But I would actually say that it's lower skill than Rocket, unfortunately. Yeah, let's put it like over here. I think that's valid, to be honest. Oh, actually, maybe Fireball should go up on the toxic chart. Oh, maybe they should. You know what? I'm doing it. I'm putting them higher up. Yeah, I'm gonna put them over here actually, because I've just realized that like they also are heavy spells that you can use to spam out the tower at the end, and like it's not fun losing a game like that. It's just not. So I've maneuvered them up a bit, because like placing the Rocket and Lightning over here made me realize, you know what, let's do some more spells. We've got Zap and Evo Zap. Evo Zap used to be toxic when it would do 3 hits worth and be active hitbox for a million years. Now I don't think it's really toxic at all. Like, I don't think really anyone's getting too salty at Evo Zap, so I'm gonna leave it pretty low down. Rage, go on, let's get the spells done. There's not many left, so we'll do Rage. And Rage, you know what, let's put it like over here. Let's make it open space, and I think Rage is waiting to slot in there. Takes a little bit of skill to know when it's worth using, but like not really so much, because only 2 elixir. And yeah, the Rage kind of is a little toxic, like being able to just like have something run at your tower at Mach 10, especially if you've kind of had it in the pocket and use it as like a surprise, and you drop it on a prince, and then it's just like boom, and like goes into its tower, and they can't slip in whatever they were going to get in, or like all of a sudden the stuff they've put in the middle isn't kited it because it's gone too far forward. Like, there's a little bit of toxicity to it there. Snowball, I think pre-Evo would have been, I don't know who even gave a shit. However, I think Evo Snowball holds some, it's a little bit, there's a little bit of skill to it. There's a little bit of an act to it. So it's kind of it's going to go above the halfway point, I can't lie. The retargeting like toxic thing, it is one of them where you kind of can feel it coming, and sometimes you just sort of get hit by it anyway. Maybe like, still don't think it's that toxic. I'm going to put it like halfway line toxic wise, and like over here, to be fair. Yeah. What else we got? Oh, wow. Earthquake. Yep, get right on up there next to your pals, next to your fucking tower damage pals, you freak. The only people that use an Earthquake end up just spell cycling your tower for the whole game. It's boring as hell. I hate it. It's going right up in this corner next to Wall Breakers. We actually have quite a lot of spells. When I said I'd do all the spells, I didn't think there'd be this many left, but I may as well. I've started, so I'll finish. We'll do Goblin Curse. I mean, Goblin Curse is sick. I love Goblin Curse, man. I don't know where to put it. It seems easy to use. Once again, it's one of them, but like getting the maximum value out of it, I'd say actually takes a little bit of skill. I'd say it takes more skill than Balloon, to be honest. Yeah, so maybe I've got to move Balloon down a little bit. It's probably like over here. It's a little toxic as well, like kind of, it like the damage application and like then having goblins to deal with, like it can be a little toxic, but it does just kind of depend on the matchup. So I'm going to leave it kind of mid-ish way. Void spell, I just say, I don't know. Yeah, placement on it is a little bit more nuanced. Let's put it like kind of up here, but like it's so bad. No one's getting mad that you're using void, man. It's so bad nowadays, man. Clone, I'm going to pop like kind of. It's not often that clone tilts you, but I guess it can do, so I'll put it like kind of over here somewhere. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I'm gonna have pretty high skill as well. Maybe partly because it's just bad. So it gets the bar putt treatment there. But also kind of like getting the best value out of your clone isn't the easiest thing. Again, maybe because it's bad. I don't know. It's 3 elixir as well, and it usually gets like no value. So you don't want to just waste your 3 elixir. Royal delivery, medium skill again, but low on the toxicity front. Like I don't think anyone's ever gotten mad at a royal delivery usage really. And the skill obviously comes from it just takes ages to use. So there's like a timing thing there going on. But other than that, pretty standard. Then we've got bar barrel. Again, it's not really toxic, is it? I say it's probably a little bit. I'm gonna put like kind of where Zap is, and then do I do mirror? Fucking hell, I don't even know where to place mirror. I'm gonna do mirror later on. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. While we're on the topic of bad cards, actually coming back to some more bad ones, we'll go for Sparky. Oftentimes, your Sparky, you place it at the back, and then it'll get no value at all. And actually, just getting some value from your Sparky is often just worth doing, even if you don't get like. Get it down on the back and get the massive push that you really want. And so like kind of having that in mind brings it up on the skill front a little bit. I'm not going to put it above Ice Golem though. But it's so high up on the toxicity front as well because like it's just one of them where it'll just get a hit. Like just like, you know, like, oh, you just miscalculate something a little bit and boom. 1,000 something damage in your tower just like that. Like going on the same sort of lines as the old giant skeleton. And again, I feel like I'm packing out this lower left section, so let's try and find another higher skill one. Let's go fisherman actually. Fisherman is immediately going above this line on the skill line. It's got an interesting mechanic. King Tower activations and stuff you can go for. You need to know about like it's valid, so valid to put it over here somewhere. Maybe like over here because like it's one of them where it's 3 elixir, and because of that pull-in you can just like get your second tower involved so easy, and you can just like activate King Tower and like you can do so much cool stuff with it that it does kind of make it a little toxic because it's like, oh, this dude gets so much value from 3 elixir. But it is kind of matchup dependent as well. Like sometimes fisherman is just not really like, who cares about fisherman? Like against like again like a log bait maybe, for example, fisherman is not getting any value. So I can't really put it above the halfway point on the toxicity front, but it's going pretty close to it. I'm pretty happy with where it is now. Actually, I'm going to say it's higher skill than skeleton king. Let's pop it up here with the spirits. Why not? Let's go musketeer. Now musketeer again. There's another one where if you don't consider the evo, it's like right down here somewhere, you know, like because who cares? But the evo brings it right up on the skill, like sniping something, and again it's a little bit matchup dependent, but sometimes you can get big value from it, and like you kind of have to save it until that right moment, and then you want to just catch him off guard, grab him by the bollock, and get a big snipe, which can actually sway the way of the game. So I'm going to put it over the halfway point, I think, as far as the skill goes, purely because of the evo. And toxicity wise, up there a little bit, but again because of the evo, like the fact that it can sway the way of a game, but also if you see it coming, it's not that bad. So I can't really put it above the halfway point, I don't think. We'll have a hang out next to Mighty Miner, why not? And you know what, we'll do 3 musketeers as well. It's not really toxic, is it? Because it's just terrible. So I'm just gonna go like down here. Oh my god, I forgot Golden Knight. I did all the champions and I forgot Golden Knight just chilling down there. He got buffed recently, which does make him a little more toxic, but he's still not that bad. I'm gonna put him like down here. Right, is that all the champions now?
No.
And all the spells other than mirror. I think we're good on that front. I will do suspicious pusher. That's kind of a spell. Why not? It's not really, but it's all it is. And this one's toxic. We get a toxic one. Hey, let's go. And it's low down as well. It's another one where you just place it at the bridge. That is literally all you do with it. Goblin drill is another toxic one, really. I don't think it's more toxic than Dark Goblin. Probably more toxic than Magic Archer there, so let's put it like here. Evo Drill, people often don't even use that because within the Evo deck, there's just a better one that you can use. You're better off just having the Drill and using some other Evo like Firecracker or Dark Goblin or some BS. So I'm not really considering that too much. And it is annoying because of like how efficiently it'll get damage on the tower, but it's 4 elixir rather than 3. That's quite a big jump from like a Goblin Barrel. Yeah, I don't know. It's quite toxic, but not as bad as I thought it once was. All right, we're getting there. Let's go for Royal Ghost just because it jumped out on me. You have to make it get the first hit. You can't use it to kite stuff. It kind of makes it a little bit more finicky to use. It's not like using a knight where you have more freedom in how you use it. I'm gonna put it like not too high up on the skill, but like over here somewhere. Let's have it hanging out right in there. Nestle it in there because it's not like inherently toxic, but it can apply like that bit of pressure when it just goes invisible. Like maybe if you take it down to like 1 HP and then it's invisible, and then you've got to use something else to defend it so that it doesn't just drop 200 damage on the tower or more if it gets more hits. That's a little toxic, like, but it's definitely not over in the second half, but it's got some toxic traits to it, I think. Lava Hound, the fact that it's a 7 elixir commitment makes it kind of higher skill because you kind of have to know when you can get away with it. but also not really. Like, often kind of the way Lava Hound decks play is that you kind of have to sack a tower almost, or like sack damage just to get it out, because then that gives you the big push. But maybe that's more skill as well, like knowing when to sack damage to get it out. Like, I don't know, I'm going to put it above half, definitely above half on the skill front. Am I though? Because, oh, no, I am. But also, you do kind of place it. Like, and playing against it, it looks like you just kind of place it, but not at the front. So yeah, no, actually I do think there's more skill than meets the eye with this card. I need to stop yapping about each card so much. Yeah, I think about that. It's more toxic than Bandit, less toxic than Goblin Curse, I'd say. And maybe like there on the skill check. Yeah. I've just seen Mortar hanging out down here. Now this is similar to Expo in that I hate it. It's damage across the bridge, it's spam damage across the bridge, but it's also pretty high skill. It's the same as like Royal Giant. Like if you've just played against Royal Giant, it feels like they're not doing anything to earn their win, but they actually are. Mortar is essentially just like, it plays similar to Expo, but it's just easier. But it's just as toxic, I'm not gonna lie. I think Mortar's right up here on the toxic scale. Maybe like not quite as bad as some of this other garbage. No, Mortar is easy. I know Mortar's easy, I've played Mortar decks. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm gonna believe it comes down there. I'm gonna stick to my guns. Like that was where I had the urge to put it, so I'm leaving it there. It's not easy, but it's like easier than some meta decks. It was bound to happen. We've got to do it eventually. We'll go Mega Knight. I feel like people are expecting me to pop it right over here on the toxicity scale, like right away. It's going over here somewhere, probably right down in the corner with these guys. I don't think it's that bad. Am I crazy for this? I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. Evo Mega Knight definitely makes it worse, significantly worse, but I still don't think it's that bad. The thing that makes it more toxic is the fact you see it in like every game. It's just boring. Like I'm bored of it. So I am going to put it on this half of the toxicity scale because of just how much you see it. It's boring, but also because of Evo Mega Knight making it way better. Not even way better really, but better. I don't think it's as toxic as Magic Archer. I don't think it's as toxic as Balloon. I'd say it's probably more toxic than Rage though, and like Prince. So I'm gonna put it like here. I feel like this is maybe the most controversial one that I've done so far, because I haven't put it right at the end on toxicity, but like I've said this before in videos, I don't think he's that bad. All right, we're in the final stretch now. Come on then. P.E.K.K.A, we're in a similar vein to Mega Knight, I guess. Evo P.E.K.K.A, I would have said used to be super toxic, but like they've kind of nerfed it now and it's kind of not that good. Still pretty good though, and I still say it's more toxic than like Balloon. So I'm gonna put it like just over here, down here. I think it's actually, I do actually think it's more toxic than Mega Knight. I'm not tweaking. I do think that. But obviously there's not that much in it. Golem, you know, we'll do some big boys now. We'll do some chunky men. Why not? Now this pick might surprise you, because I actually think that Golem is a reasonably high skill card, like, and it doesn't seem like it because it's just you just place it down at the back basically and try to build your push, but you have to be able to get away with that, like, and it's like I kind of put Lava Hound a little high up because of that as well. I don't know, I'd say it's actually not the easiest card to kind of get used to using. I'm gonna put it like maybe like kind of the same sort of skill as Lava Hound, and toxicity I think it's actually pretty low toxicity. Like if I lose to Golem, I'm like, fair play. Fair enough. Like, who wants to use Golem? Okay, actually, Heal Spirit I'm going to bring down. We are not getting pissed off at Heal Spirit, are we, realistically? Which does mean I've got to find something to fill this gap of, like, a high skill, medium toxicity. And you know what? We'll go for the Clash Royale's newest card, the Spirit Empress, because I think that's going to go up here somewhere. Because it's immediately pretty high skill, because it's, like, kind of hard to get used to, because of the fact that it's essentially 2 cards in one. Do you save up for the 6 elixir, or do you use the 3 elixir, or do you prefer the 3 elixir so you quickly use something else so you can get out the 3 elixir version without spending all your elixir on the flying variant? Like there's skill in that, but it's also like a bit of the bar putt effect where it's garbage as well. Like this card sucks, to be honest. Like no one is using this card, even though it's the new one. So you would have thought like they would have had some offers in the shop and make this broken so people will buy it to upgrade it. But they haven't seemed to do that. Like it's not that good. But yeah, I do think it's a pretty high skill card, and like it's got toxic elements to it. This is 2 cards over 1. So I'm gonna put it above Golem for that fact. But like, I'm not mad when I play against the Spirit Empress. I've never played Clash Royale and been like destroyed by a Spirit Empress and been like, oh, what the hell? It's just the fact that you can't really predict what they're going to do because it's an extra card in your deck, essentially. And then you know what? I think another one, I think I'm going to go for Mirror, because that is also going to fit into this sort of area. Because I'm sorry, but Mirror is high skill. It is like knowing when Mirror is going to be value isn't the easiest thing. I'm not going to lie. Mirror is also not the best card in the game. Again, it's a little bit of that sort of situation going. I'm going to say it's about the same as Spirit Empress, to be honest, but less toxic. You can't get annoyed at someone beats you with Mirror, because like who uses Mirror, you know? Oh my god, Little Prince is here. How have I keep missing champions, man? Little Prince has been sat there staring at me the whole time, bro. I don't know, like I'm not really toxic at a Little Prince player. I'm gonna pop it like down here somewhere, and then maybe like it's not really that high skill though. It's not as high as Skeleton King in my opinion. Now that is actually all the champions. They're just double checking now. Definitely no more champions. All right, and we'll go for Mother Witch. Why not? I don't know. There's toxicity there, but also, like, I don't know, it gets fireballed or something. Like, it's not that deep. If you know they've got a Mother Witch in the deck, it's usually pretty easy to deal with. Actually, maybe a little higher. Because if you don't have like a fireball or like an arrows and log that you can take her out with, then I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. A little higher. You know what? Let's go for one that I think is actually surprisingly toxic. This is probably going to be another bit of a wild card you guys don't expect, but I think Goblin Giant actually has got some toxic traits on him. Like the spawning the goblins is still pretty good. Like this is another one, but this was such an underrated card for so long, so it just hadn't really properly been nerfed. But now they've nerfed it, but it's still got that kind of toxic element to it, and it's also quicker. The Spearo's on the back doing damage to your stuff, like you're raging up and it's just doing all sorts of stuff. Like, yeah, like, I don't know. It's gonna end up, I think, in this bottom right box, because it's also not that high skill. You're usually just most of the time just using it at the bridge or maybe at the back. More toxic than Drill for sure. I don't think it's as toxic as Dark Goblin. In fact, I am going to move Dark Goblin up a little bit more, just a smidge. We'll go through the Photo Tower now, another kind of lowish skill one that I actually think can be pretty toxic. To me, for example, a Royal Giant player, but also I imagine anyone that uses like some big push, some big beatdown push. They drop down there in Photo Tower and you're like, oh my god, you got to work so hard to get through that. But also there's like a little bit of nuance, because like sometimes you got to preemptively place it so you can get your cycle on to get another one out, because otherwise like it can be dealt with. Or like, I don't know, if they want a lightning yell, like zap it and then their big push gets through, you got to kind of know what you're doing there. So there's a little bit of that to consider, but it's not going to bring it that high up, to be honest. Higher than maybe like P.E.K.K.A. and Mega Knight. I'm going to put it like down here somewhere. Right, it's actually not even that toxic, to be honest. However, one that is surprisingly toxic is going to be Ice Wizard. I'm not going to lie. I mean, they added the splash damage in from when you actually spawn it in, like the spawn damage, and that in turn I think makes it kind of a higher skill card, because usually you don't want to do that because it just gets blown away and killed. And now I see like lower trophy players, when I watch your replays and stuff, like just use Ice Spirit Wizard on top for that damage, and then it just dies when you'd be better off just using it further away so it can shoot from afar for longer. So I guess that kind of brings up the skill a little bit of knowing when to drop it on and when to drop it a little bit further away, whereas that wasn't a question beforehand. Kind of, yeah, it's not the hardest card to get used to by any means, but it is actually kind of toxic, and I'm going to kind of put it kind of over here. Yeah, not quite as toxic as Mega Knight. Oh, to be fair, maybe I should move all this stuff up. I feel like I'm kind of placing a lot of cards not as high as I want to, because I haven't placed this stuff high enough. Let's move all this stuff up a little bit. Yeah, and then I can move my Ice Spirit like in here somewhere. That'll do. Furnace or Cauldron, I can never remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's Furnace. I always call it like Cauldron though, because it's got a literal cauldron on top. But yeah, I really want to put this higher in the toxicity front, because it is annoying. They just place it down and there's constant pressure in your tower, but it sucks as a card so bad that I just can't, because I'm never mad at it, because I'm like, oh, at least they're using like one of the worst cards in the game. But I am going to put it in the further half, because it is annoying having that pressure on you, but it's bad. It's a bad card, which makes it not that toxic. If it was better, it would be right up there on the toxic front, so I'm glad it's not better. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, right, we need to start cracking on here. This video is going to be 2 hours long, right? Rune Giant, surprisingly toxic, and surprisingly, I want to say pretty reasonably high skill as well. I'm going to nestle it in there. I don't think it's as toxic as Boss Bandit, but I actually think there's toxic traits to it. Like, if Rune Giant was better, it would be even more toxic, but in fact, I'm going to lower it down, because it's not good anymore. It's just a gimmick now. They've nerfed it so much, which I think is a shame, because I think it's really fun. But also, I don't want it to be a toxic ass card in the game. So it's fair enough. Okay, regular Giant, why not? I'm going to say it's kind of here. It's pretty easy to get used to realistically. Flying Machine, surprisingly toxic, because it can just sit there getting mad value, and pretty low skill. You just kind of use it in the middle and let it do its thing. So I'm going to place it like down here. I'd say it's not that toxic really, but like it kind of can be. Goblin Cage, and then you got Diddy Cage, Evo Cage, Diddy Cage. Like, I don't know, there is nuance to it. It's that same thing like I said with like the Goblin Stein. Like, seems easy, but there is also a high skill ceiling. There is nuance to it. Like, for example, not everyone's going to know that like placing it right in front of a Hog Rider is better than placing it in the middle and cutting the Hog Rider. But it is, and like there's little kind of nuancy bits like that come with it, as well as using the Evo Cage. Like, sometimes you want to place your Evo Cage right on top of it. Sometimes maybe not, because you then don't want your Evo Cage to get shot at from the other side of the bridge, like, or something like that. Diddy Cage makes it pretty toxic, but not that bad. Like, if it wasn't for Diddy Cage, it would be down here somewhere. But honestly, the Evo being able to like suck in your whole P.E.K.K.A. or something and just, you know, diddle it. It can be pretty annoying in some matchups, but it's not that bad. So it's about in the middle. Healer, I want to say it's kind of reasonable on the skill, but like not really. I don't know. It's like kind of toxic. It's kind of toxic because it's got a heal, but like also like pretty easy to use. So it's going to just sit in here somewhere. Bats, Evo Bats, I think are actually pretty toxic. I can't lie. Like, if it wasn't for Evo, this would be like just kind of down here, the pretty humble one. And it's still a pretty easy card to use. There's not really much nuance to your bats. Yeah, I can put it like here. Evo Bats can be pretty toxic, can be pretty annoying. I'm going to leave it there. Right, Lumberjack, right. Right. Lumberjack would be fine, but the Evo version is absolutely insane. And if they hadn't nerfed it and nerfed the duration he could stay out for, it would be definitely pretty high up here in the toxic range. But it did get nerfed, so it's now a little bit more balanced, and so it can't be too high. I'm going to say it's also like reasonable skill, higher than these other cards down here. But yeah, it's mainly the Evo, just the ghost spawning, and like it definitely will get value when it's within a push, you know what I mean? If you're just using Evo Lumberjack the bridge, you can counter it for it to get no value, obviously. But like when it's within a push, usually it just ends up just being alive and just chopping down, like even if it doesn't get tower damage, like it's just chopping down your troops. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. It's pretty freaking annoying. That's all I have to say. Bowler now, it's not that bad. I'm gonna chuck it down there. I'm gonna say it's kind of higher skill than some of these other cards as well. We'll go Phoenix now. Oh, Phoenix is just not toxic, is it? Like it could be. It seems like it could be, but it's not. Has the egg ever been an issue for anyone to deal with? I don't know, probably not. I just can't place it in this half. I can't put it like down here. Ram Rider now, a little more toxic. Why is it I have such strong feelings about Hog Rider, but not Ram Rider. But then also, if you ask me separate, thinking about it in this context, I'd say they're about the same sort of card. Like you use them about the same way, so it's weird, but I'm kind of vibes basing it, and this is kind of where I want to put them. All right, Goblin Hut. And Goblin Hut, this is the new Goblin Hut, not the old Goblin Hut. Old Goblin Hut was pretty toxic, not great. We're not talking about that. We're talking about new Goblin Hut, definitely in this lower right box. I think it's about the same as like around this sort of area, and it's pretty low skill as well. Let's pop it like honestly kind of down here. Goblin Machine got buffed kind of recently, so it made it a little better, which made it a little more toxic in turn. Skill check, it's pretty easy. Not really too much going on. We'll slot it in there. You can still see him just about. Okay, Tombstone. Personally, I don't find Tombstone toxic really at all. I can see why you might though, depending. I think that is kind of matchup dependent. And then it's also, there's not really any nuance to it. It's pretty easy to use. So let's just pop it like down here. Okay, Zappies now. We're getting towards the end now. Not too many cards left. Oh, I don't know. We're getting some normal ones. I feel like most of the stuff's going to be kind of in the middle on the toxicity front here. Because like Zappies can be kind of toxic, but like not really in most decks. And like there's a little bit of skill because you can sort of split them. So I kind of want to put them sort of on the same line as like archers, you know. But I'm kind of just going to put them in the middle on the toxicity. Oh, I don't know though, because they do just slow stuff down a million. It's kind of like Ice Spirit. Let's put them next to Ice Spirit actually. With the slowing effect, like it's kind of the same as Ice Spirit, but like you don't see them a lot. You don't see people using Zappies, so that makes them kind of not as bad almost, because you don't have to deal with them all the time. And you know what? While we're on the topic of the electric boys, we'll go for Electro Wizard, which is pretty easy. It's another easy card. Not really toxic either. I'm going to pop it like down here somewhere, to be honest. Why not? This is just pretty normal card. And then Electro Dragon as well. Like, I don't know. It's the same spot. It's a 5 elixir card. They're always in a weird spot. I don't think it's that high skill, to be honest. It's still a very good defensive card. That's what I mean. When it released, it was like far and away the best defensive card in the game. It's been nerfed a few times since, so it's not so good, but it still can just like shut down your whole push, or like make it so that placing things next to each other, even when you're just on the defense, is difficult. Like you can't do that. So like actually it is a thing of like, it kind of is in the same sort of boat as the Inferno Dragon, where like it's coming at you and you can see it coming and you're like, okay, what can I do here? Like it's actually pretty toxic. I'm actually going to place it pretty high up here on the toxic front. Obviously I was mostly talking about Evo there, not just the normal Electro Dragon. Normal Electro Dragon would be nowhere near the toxic end, but Evo makes it way better, and it's a 1 card cycle as well. And you know what, we'll do the last card that I've got, which has an Evo, and it's going to be Evo XE here, which I don't think is even that bad. It's another 5 elixir card, but I'm only going to put it in like here, to be honest, nestle it in that little spot. Actually maybe a little higher than that, maybe a little higher on the toxic, because it is a pretty good defensive card, you know. Oh wait, that wasn't the last Evo. We've got Evo Cannon. Why do I keep missing things? I'm actually dumb. Evo Cannon, oh god, actually this is an interesting one, because I don't think Evo Cannon's that bad, but it also is a fireball over the whole screen, and it allows aggressive value, defensive value. I don't think the Evo Cannon's that bad. However, Cannon for 3 elixir, and it did get a little nerf recently, but still for 3 elixir is super good on the defense. It's such a good defensive card. So I'm gonna put it up into this range of the toxicities over around here somewhere, but not because of the Evo like you might think, not because of the fireball that goes over the whole screen, just because of how Cannon is. It's just a good ass card. And then on the skill, I kind of want to put it like, honestly, Evo Cannon is actually pretty difficult to get used to, like where you can actually fireball, like getting used to using that. So I'm gonna put it above over here, up in the skill somewhere. Is it more skill than Evo Hunter? It's that thing of like the skill ceiling, I think, is kind of higher for Evo Hunter, but like also just getting used to the baseline ability is harder with Cannon. So I'm gonna put it about the same, but like for different reasons, you know. Monk's definitely not as bad as like Evo P.E.K.K.A. I don't think it's that bad at all. Or Boss Bandit, actually. Now that I think about it, Monk is not that toxic. Yeah, like down here, and I'm gonna bring Miner up a little bit. It feels wrong having Miner so high up in the skill category because of the way it feels to play against Miner, now that I've just had another look at it. But I having thought about it, I'm sticking with my guns. Okay, the top 5, no, there's 6 left. I'll do one more before I say that. Okay, Electro Giant, get rid of the last of the Electro cards out the way. And now this one's going to be another controversial one. I know it is, because I know people hate this and they think it's low skill as hell, but it's that 7 elixir commitment, man. It's difficult to get away with sometimes, man. I'm making it work. Like, you go play an Electro Giant deck and tell me it's easy. Like, it's kind of hard to get away with it sometimes. And like, I kind of want to just put it like maybe kind of mid-range. Is it more skill than Golem? I'd say it's about the same, to be honest, for the same reasons. However, it's also a little toxic. that zapping effect sort of thing, it can be pretty annoying. I actually don't think it's that bad though. It's pretty easy to defend. I'd actually say it's less toxic than Lava Hound. And now we're on the top 5 cards left to go. I've left some weird ones, to be honest, and I've left no particular cards here. So I'll try and do the more boring ones first. I think Bomb Tower maybe is just like kind of normal, whereas Tesla, it's going to go pretty much next to Tesla. It's like the same sort of card, really. I guess maybe it's a little bit higher skill than Tesla, because sometimes you're going to want to place it in the middle where the bomb can actually get some value. Sometimes you're going to want to kite with the Bomb Tower. So there's a bit of nuance there. And then the rest of these are all pretty interesting, to be fair. Cannon Car, I don't know, it used to definitely be more toxic, but now it's kind of not that bad because it's been nerfed recently, or reworked, which was essentially a nerf. So I don't really think it's actually that toxic anymore. I kind of want to put this like mid-table. Before the nerf, it would have been higher up. And skill-wise, it's like there's not really anything going on there, is there? It's pretty easy. Let's just pop it like next to Mother Witch, to be honest. And now we got some more interesting ones. Let's go for Night Witch. I guess this is probably the simplest one. You just place it at the back and let it spawn bats, basically, and then build a push with it. The skill in this card comes from building a push with it, using your other cards. Kind of want to pop this like over there, because like it can just spawn like a load of bats, and like sometimes on the death bats that spawn, you just get some little extra bits of chip. It's pretty annoying. And now we've got 2 pretty big beefy boys at the end here. This one's probably going to be some controversial picks here, but I think Elixir Pump's toxic. I do. Like, especially in some decks, like you just don't have the source to really properly deal with it, and then they're able to just rack up Elixir Pumps, get loads of elixir, and then just fist you with whatever they've got in their deck. I think it can be toxic, but the fact that makes me want to not put it too high up is that it's not, you usually can deal with it, you know, you usually sort of can. And I actually do think it's pretty high skill. It's pretty high skill to get used to be honest. I'm gonna put it right up here, to be honest, which is probably a rogue pick, but like play an Elixir Pump deck and tell me it's easy. Like, it's not. That's just how it is. I don't know. But also it's like easy. If you get a good matchup, it seems like it's bloody easy. But it's that higher skill ceiling, as I keep mentioning it. And then last and absolutely not least, we've got Elixir Golem. This is also another controversial one. People think this is toxic, and I've got to be inclined to agree. It's very easy to get damage on tower with this card. I'm gonna put it kind of over here in the toxic range. But actually, I also think it's pretty high skill. Like, and this is another thing that's going to piss people off. I don't think it's a low skill card at all. You give your opponents elixir. You got to know when you can get away with doing that. Sometimes you can't really get away with using it, and it might be your only win condition, but you can't get away with using it. And that's just how the game goes. And it takes a lot of playing the game to know that. And I'm actually going to put it kind of next to Pump up here somewhere. So I feel like it's not as high skill as Pump, but I'm going to move the Hunter down a bit and then move that like there. Yeah, that's valid. Oh my God. And that right there is the finished list. I did go along as I go. I was moving little things as I went, as I'm sure you saw. There were little tiny shifts as I went, but that is pretty much it. I'm pretty much happy with how that is. There's nothing here that I'm looking at and I'm thinking, God, why did I put that all the way over there or something, you know? Like, this is pretty much it. And we have got a little bit of a clump in the middle, obviously, because this is kind of like the averages, I guess. Clump right at the end, obviously, and then the clump sort of nearer the start of like the stuff that no one really cares about. But yeah, you got some standout cards. I feel like there's going to be some controversial picks. Like, I feel like where I've put Miner might be a bit controversial. Elixir Golem's a bit controversial. Freeze is definitely controversial, being that high up on the toxicity and the skill. But I definitely explained myself to the fullest in this video, so you know why I said what I did, and I'm standing by it. And this has been a well over 2 hour long recording. I think it's like 2.5 hours now. I've been in 2 different recordings, swapped out my camera batteries and all sorts in this video, so I think that's worthy of a little like and subscribe. I gotta say it. But Jeff, and now that is me signing out, because the rating's done. The tier list, well, not really a tier list, but it's done. It's finished. It is done. And I want to know your thoughts, because in every sort of video like this, you guys are gonna have some drastically different opinions, I'm sure, and I want to hear them. So get down in the comments and let me know what's going on. What do you think? What do you think of the tier list? I think, because I obviously think I'm valid, but there's always going to be some things that piss y'all off, and I just want to know. I want to know your opinions. Of course I do. So yeah, get that in the comments, and also let me know if you want me to rate anything else, like rate it on base of, I could do like a proper tier list based on how good I think the cards are, or like, I don't know, how cool their artwork is. I don't know, it's anything like that. But I don't know, just let me know in the comments. So it's always good to see your ideas. But for now, as I said, I'm signing out, and if you made it to the end of this video and actually watched it, then congratulations, because this has been a long haul. So thank you for that. Thank you for being a loyal fan. But anyway, I might end this video because I am boiling, and I've got to edit this monumental beast now. So I hope y'all have a great day, and I'll see you